Hi, I'm Matt, and with me today is Phil. Welcome to Call Your Hits, a Storm Riders Airsoft podcast.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And thanks, Matt, for that introing me to my own show. I think it's a first time for everything. Guys, Matt is here, an old friend of the show. He needs no introduction. Although, if he needs an introduction because this is your first time hearing Matt on the program, you need to listen to more episodes of Call Your Hits.
We have time, I suppose. I'm Matt from Northern California. I run an airsoft event out here as a Storm Rider Foreign Legionnaire. I've gone to 3 Storm Rider Foreign Legion events now. I've been with the Discord for about 5 years now. I've been airsofting for about 9 years now, and I've played Milsim, Speed, Soft, LARP, and Skirmishing.
Mm-hmm. And he's a loose cannon who plays by his own rules. None.
Oh,
Except calling your hits.
That's actually true. I had some. No, I always call my hits. But I did have an issue yesterday where we were doing like a team-based thing, and I found myself out in the woods, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't belong out here. We're supposed to be working together.
Yeah. And so I think Matt, for people in the community who know, people, if you're new listening to the show, like Matt has a very sort of like Matt-centric style of play. Like Matt knows what Matt likes to play, and he, it's very much like maximum fun, maximum like effectiveness as well. Like there's no denying that. Like it's silly, but it's also super effective. We talked about that a whole bunch. But the reason we're together today is that Matt is preparing for this large Airsoft LARP, live action role playing event that's happening later on this year. It's called the Morning Star, and it's organized by Zone 37 Airsoft in Anderson, California. I think it's in early October, if I'm not mistaken, like the first week of October, something like that.
Yeah, it's the first week of October.
Yeah. And this is like a 40-hour continuous immersion role-playing event, which is, if you know Matt and you know the content conversation, is kind of off-brand in a certain respects. Like Matt loves Star Wars, he's done Star Wars LARPs, etc. And so to have like a continuous immersion, quote unquote, serious LARP is something that I was like, oh, cool. So Matt's going to talk to us about that today. And like, I guess my first question for you today is, why this event? Like, why did this appeal to you, given sort of like your propensity for other stuff like Star Wars LARPs and stuff like that?
It came up on the Airsoft Challenge Program events page, and I check out everything and I look over them and see if it's something I want to do. And generally it is, because they've helped me break out of my shell and go do new things before. Mm-hmm. But this one in specific, they messaged me before I even made my mind up, and they're like, hey, what are you wearing for Zone 37? You're going to be with us, right? And I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So I looked into it a bit more, and I actually like it a bit. Some people are liking it to Stalker or Fallout or a few other things, post-apocalyptic, but the guy wants to be sure that he's very clear it's his own world that we're working in. And it appeals to me in a lot of the same ways Galactic Civil War did, in that I get to pick my own character. There's a handful of factions, like 5 or 6 factions, and then your character exists in the world and continues and persists through all the events. Like at Galactic Civil War, my credit balance is still sitting over there when I decide to make it back out to Wisconsin or Missouri to play. And so in future, when I play up at Anderson or wherever these guys do their events in other places, Zone 37, this, that, then my character will be consistent, and I'm running a civilian character in the game. There's a few different ways you can go about it, and I'm sort of approaching it from a Borderlands perspective personally, because there's treasure out there, there's factions fighting over it, but I don't want to be tied to anybody except to hang out with a few of my good buddies, of wandering around, right? So there's there's the big army, and then there's like a bunch of private military contractors. I think there's 3 of them, and that's like Titan and Rubicon and something else, and I did not pay attention to that because I didn't feel like wearing a camouflage when I could wear jeans, and I'm working on a canvas jacket with a costume and everything, because I'm going to do like a whole post-apocalypse thing. So that's what really set me off. Is I was looking at Dustin from the Airsoft Challenge Program. I was looking at his kit from a Fallout game he had done, and I was like, cool, I want to get kind of close to that. I want us to be like sort of together. I saw Gavin's stuff. I'm like, cool, we're all going to team up, be this sort of thing together. And that's what led me to it, right? Like otherwise I would have looked at it and be like, do I want to spend 40 hours out there? And but then I got to the tickets page and it's like there's RV parking and you can sleep in your RV during the night. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in 100%. Uh,
So, yeah, and that's one of the things that sort of struck me when I was looking at their material. I was like, this is a 40-hour continuous immersion kind of situation. And I was like, is Matt gonna want to do that? But I mean, you sort of talk about that, like you get to sleep in your RV and all this kind of stuff, right? Are you? I just want to go back to something because you mentioned like the Airsoft Challenge program, guys. Are you rolling with them for this event? Like, is that your plan?
yeah, like I was planning to just sort of wander around and bump into things, but they literally were like, hey, we're going to do this as a group. You're going to be with us, right? Like it wasn't even like a hey, do you want to? It was like, hey, you're doing this, right? And I'm like, oh well, I guess yes, 100% I am.
Hmm.
You thought to include me, you invited me, you already sent me tickets for the event before I asked. We're doing it, right? Uh, and absolutely, dude, like to be invited like that is absolutely so cool because you know I have enormous respect for those guys and what
Yeah,
they
for
do
sure.
for Airsoft. Uh, and while we're talking about enormous respect, Flamingo Custom Works, let's talk about them later. They're amazing. Uh, so yeah, I like that's and I'm like cool, dude, because I loved I love post apocalypse. Like we're big fat nerds, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I could, I'd have power armor too, and not just a totally sick White Scars set, but also like a Fallout set and everything. So that appeals to me a lot. There's a fantasy element to it. There's a magical. There's a science fiction. There's artifacts out there to find, and they have powers and they do things, and that's
Mm.
cool to me, right? And it's not oh you've got a EMP and it's jamming all the radios. Oh, that's fun. No, dude, it's like here is a glowing green goo and it gives you it gives you an extra hit before you go down. It's something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
the
And what's
Morning Star
cool?
itself, sorry,
Go ahead.
uh, the Morning Star itself, as I understand it, is actually like an instant heal and you can heal other people with it. Which is like a really powerful thing to have in the game. So like they're gonna have very limited numbers, and that's like the whole point of the game is people trying to find this, and the PMCs trying to take it before the big army can.
Gotcha. And what's interesting about like this type of event, you touched on it just a few moments ago, but like, okay, we could talk about prep like for an event, like the kit you're going to bring, all this kind of stuff. But for a LARP, there's a whole other level of prep, right? Around what you were just talking about. Not for everyone, surely, but like for people like yourself, like who are you going to be? It's not a question of like what are you going to wear, although that certainly, canvas jacket, we'll come back to it. But like who are you going to be? What type of character? Like that's something that is an important facet of any sort of LARP event. What does that prep look like for you? Like what you've talked about it a bit in the Star Wars element as well, but what do you find interesting in terms of the character creation for a LARP?
Uh, I like the most freedom, obviously, at first. Like that's the first open thing is I look for a group where it's not going to be a rank and file. Uh, so I'll never be playing like a stormtrooper or a rebel at Galactic Civil War. Likewise, here, the option to be a civilian was just like I can do anything. I don't have to follow anybody's orders. I don't have to do any of that. They have the civilian role as like a treasure finder looking for these artifacts in this zone, and that appeals to me enormously, dude. It's almost exactly like what I did at Galactic Civil War. As like I started out as a bounty hunter, but I sort of transitioned into just hunting the Bolovos, and I sort of remade my character into like a big game hunter who was just out there to hunt dangerous aliens
Mm-hmm.
and collect their stuff. And like this thing, and that transitioned naturally enough to this. I'm just a treasure hunter out there looking for the valuable things. And so I started on just like what would it look like for me, right? In the post-apocalypse, nobody's going to be around judging me because they roll up to you and you're wearing your Mad Max style tire armor, and they say, "Hey, you look stupid." You brain them with like a sledgehammer, right? You don't worry about it.
Yeah, or a stop
Uh,
sign or whatever you got on hand.
exactly, right? Like a piece of rebar stuck in a concrete. It's a wasteland, right? So I don't need to worry about that. My only three concerns, and I feel these are good concerns to have, are I can't use red, orange, or yellow in the costume because those are the dead rag colors, and I'm
Right.
100% for that because I love a high vis dead rag. I red's cool and all, but like orange or yellow, dude, do it 100%. I will take the paint off my costume. I will paint over. Uh, so I had to take the yellow out. I had like an armor plate that I saw sitting in my garage, and I was like, this is a cool thing if you do like a post apocalypse, just like a little shoulder plate. And everything sort of grew from there, right? Is I decided okay, that he's going to be a guy who's just like wandering around. He doesn't want to draw a lot of attention. So I want a cape. I want to put a cape to put around all my gear. It's not just like capes, like a poncho. So that like
Mm-hmm.
at first glance, I'm just a dude in a poncho. I'm not hurting anybody. No, it covers my rifle, covers all my grenades, covers my pistol holster. But then I started going a little more, and I like pulled apart armor pieces from Mandalorians I had done in the past. And I've only got one set now, so I've just got plates lying around, and I started putting things
Mm-hmm.
together. And then I just sort of built on this as like, because they're like, we're doing the caravan. I'm like, caravan guard. It makes sense for me to go a little heavier, put some armor plates on. So now I've got armor that goes all the way down my arm, uh, over a padded arm thing. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a canvas vest or like a canvas jacket where I can cut the sleeve out, have the armor coming out one side, have everything else covered by the poncho, and that'll be my thing, right? I'll wear my shark mask and my iconic hat. Uh,
Yeah.
because that's what I would still be wearing at the end of the world, right? Is I would keep that hat going as long as I could.
Yeah.
And for me, that's like a cool, almost like a New Vegas, California Republic Ranger, right? Uh,
Yep.
kind of like that. And then like just with a little bit of sports armor and stuff. I got because I used my regular elbow pad and put the metal over it, so it's like a Mad Max Fallout situation. And I love it, absolutely down for it. And from there, like my character is there. I've decided I want to be the treasure hunter, but I'm also going to be this caravan guard helping these guys out and how we're going to do it. So now it's building that with them. Is like, hey, how are we going to run this? Uh, what do we want to do? What are our goals? And then I build my character more from that. Uh, and I maintain with them, hey, I might go off to do things because I like maintaining my autonomy, and I want
Mm-hmm.
to experience everything that this site has to offer.
And I find too, like, just doing the analog from like playing like role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, like you can make a lot of decisions during character creation, but really it's really once the rubber meets the road when you start playing the game that you start making the real decisions about how you're going to behave and what character how your characters are going to sort of grow and develop, right? And like it's kind of difficult to know what that's going to look like up front because you don't necessarily know. I mean, unless I'm very much mistaken, but like you don't know what situations you're going to be in until you're actually in them, right? Like you
Exactly
don't
right.
have
Like,
there. I know they're associated with this, but like you don't have any special knowledge or anything that is helping you in that preparation, right?
yeah, no, I mean, like the ACP guys, like the only knowledge, like the only way they're involved is that they're going to show up and have a tent set
Mm-hmm.
up in their little booth. They don't know anything about it. We don't know anything about it. The only guy who knows anything about it is the runner. Uh, he goes by Airsoft Adept in the Discord. His name is Alexei Slavic name or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. He just said go with Alex, so there we are. Uh, so he's the only one who knows what's going on, and I assume his admins. Nobody in the Discord does. They have a Discord running right now, and it's kind of cool because it's like half in character and half out. Like there's the buy, sell, and trades, and there's like uh, carpools and stuff like that. But then there's like PFs or PMC Rubicon recruiting, and they're trying to get people to leave the civilian group and come to the other ones. Or if people haven't signed up yet, they're like, come join this group. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm clearly like, I'm signed up. I'm ready. I'm in the civilian group. We're talking, having a good time. Uh, but it's really cool because like obviously there's airsofters in there, and I love an I love a growing airsoft Discord to a certain point. Some places get a little too busy, but like right now it's just the event, and so it's people who are enthusiastic, and it's what I'm thinking about and going for, and I really like that.
Yeah. So there's your character prep, and then what about your gear prep? Because like I don't know a whole lot about California climate in October, but like I would expect it's still going to be pretty warm at that time of year. Like, how is your
Uh,
prep for something like that, especially understanding it's 40 hours, right?
I mean, by that point in the year, I will be well acclimated to any heat that we have to worry about. Uh, I work a good amount of my time outdoors, no shade, no cover of
Mm-hmm.
any kind except what I bring with me. And over July, we've been getting up to 100, 115 the last few years, and I don't see any reason why that would stop. So I'll be well acclimated to the heat by then. Uh, but I won't be wearing anything heavy duty. I am looking at like I'm going thrifting because I'm looking for something very specific. I want like a canvas or denim jacket that is light enough for me to wear in that situation, but that will provide a little bit of protection from the elements if I decide to uh, stay out during the night portion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And really, a lot of it comes down to layering because I know the temperature is going to swing. It will. It's going to be probably pretty warm. We'll historically like 80s Fahrenheit, so like 30s uh,
Mm-hmm.
during the day, and then it'll get a little colder at night. Generally, maybe If we're real lucky, 40s, but probably like high 50s, low 60s. Uh, I don't have those conversions off the top of my head.
No worries.
But so I want to be able to layer and go back and forth. And the cape and poncho is actually a big part of that. Is I'll be able to control how much sun or wind or whatever gets to me by moving it around my body or letting airflow around. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my big concern is making sure I still have airflow when I'm in costume, because I know from previous experiences in costume with armor that airflow is absolutely key, and if you don't have it in the right spots, your day can really get nasty. Uh, and like, oh, in Hawaii, I learned that lesson when I was Mandalorian, and I put too thick, and everything was too tight, and I had no airflow, and I just soaked out. It was
Yeah,
gross.
I can imagine that. What about like sustainment and stuff like that? What does that look like
Uh,
for you?
I'm gonna have my RV there. The civilian ready area is gonna be close enough to the parking lot that we're allowed to access our RVs. Obviously, like if I like that anybody else will be able to access their tent, I'll be able to access my RV, which means I have everything I need. Right, I'll throw all my airsoft gear in my RV just in case I need it. Uh, Except BBs, I won't be taking my own BBs. Nobody's allowed to take their own BBs. Won't do it. Uh, Also, won't be bringing pyro because it will be after a hot, dry summer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, First, I'll make sure I have a hydro pack because I have found in previous experiences where I did think like longer term events that was plenty for me is to wear a hydro pack and then just whenever I die or get back to base or whatever I can refill it. And that's always been enough. That was enough at Iron Horse. That was enough at not at Galactic Civil War. Galactic Civil War, I stopped at the cantina every like half hour and got a drink. Uh, Battle for LA. I just wore a regular hydro pack, and that did me excellently. I did it a bunch of times up in Reno now, and I know it'll last me for 12 hours. And I don't plan to be away from my ready area or my RV for more than that, because even if we're like kicking ass, succeeding great at about 8 o'clock, I'm like I'm 38 and I'm sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
You guys shoot each other, and then I go back and I go to sleep because this I don't have it anymore. I don't have that night game in me unless it's for a very special occasion, right? And even
Yeah.
then, like Iron Horse, I called it at 10, and I was good. Uh, so it's not any more sustainment than like going RVing, camping any weekend, right? I'll pack all my food, pack all, like I have a little stove in there, so I'm not too worried. I'll make sure I have packed lunches. I'll probably absolutely pack my lunches and dinner meals ahead of time and just keep them in a cooler. And when I get there, I'll fire up the fridge and keep them in there. Uh, Breakfast, I like to do just like eggs, dude. It's easy enough to do on one burner. Eggs and toast to start my day. Maybe
Yeah.
bacon. But so sustainment isn't really a concern. It's not something I've thought about at all beyond make sure that there's air in the tires and fresh sheets on the bed and propane in the tank.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Gotta say, dude, like it's not something I do every time because our it's phenomenally expensive to drive an RV anywhere. Uh, But when you don't have a tent or like a hotel or facilities or anything, bro, I'm not sleeping on the ground anymore.
yeah,
Worth it.
you've done enough of that.
Plus, then I don't have to worry about packing stoves and food and all that stuff. I pack like I'm just gonna be in a hotel for a few days because I've got the fridge in there and everything. Like I've got the burner. I'm good. Uh, a lot of people like eat out a lot. I don't need to. I don't.
Hmm.
I eat my food cold. I'm happy with it too.
So I want to talk to you about another aspect of LARPing, and this is something that I think for many people is actually a barrier into getting to like these LARP events, which is the idea of sort of getting in character and getting in universe, getting your brain in universe, and also sort of feeling silly doing so, right? How how have you experienced that, and like what do you do to really get yourself into that mindset or like in character, so to speak?
Well, fortunately, I think these guys did this really well, and it's the same way at Galactic Civil War. If you look at the factions and think about it, they offer levels of immersion. Like the big army faction, all you have to do is BB war, go place, shoot gun. If
Hmm.
you're doing the PMCs, they're gonna have a little bit more leeway, and those will be probably more experienced airsofters who want to do a little bit more, who aren't afraid to go out on their own, whatnot. Some of them are going to be kids who have no idea what they're doing, and just sort of mill around. But that's the way it goes, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
So how do you get in character? Like,
okay,
so
so
obviously
then
you're at a
keep going
different level, right?
onto the faction. So yeah, so then those guys are going to be, they can get more into it. They can be into the game, the special elements of the game, the searching around, the going with things without necessarily having to buy the lore, right? They don't have to drink the Kool-Aid at that level still. They can just say, okay, we're playing capture the bomb looks funny. Capture the medical facility looks funny, right?
Hmm.
That still works for them. Once you get to the civilian level, you got to buy into it, bro. If you're not in the world, you're just an idiot standing there with an airsoft gun, just existing, right? They're very specifically not allowing things that they think would break the world, and whether I agree with them or not, they're not allowing like dye masks. Uh, they won't let me wear shorts, uh,
Hmm.
which is one of the things that also convinced me to go a little heavier. It's like if I'm wearing pants, I might as well just go for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and other things like that, where they're like, we don't want to break the immersion of this world. We don't want like a speed softer charging through, uh, doing his thing, ruining everybody's good time. And they're really are about it, right? Like this dude wants his world to work and he wants it everybody to be into it, but he has set it up so there's levels where people can ease their way into it. For me personally, getting into character has never been a thing. I put on a hat and I'm a different person if I want to be, right? If
Hmm.
it's that character's hat, that's the end of it. It's the whole thing. I did theater for 4 years in high school. I was in plays and all the things before and after that. It's always been a passion of mine. When I'm feeling especially extroverted, and it doesn't always happen, but when I am feeling, I want it to be out to everybody, and I want it to be thematic, and I want it to be fun, and I want to buy into the world. So it takes nothing for me to be like going from uh, this is my pretend gun to this is how I survive in the wasteland. Uh,
Right.
I've got my mask on already, and it already makes me feel fierce and cool. And so it's just one step there where I look down at my armor, and that'll be it. That's all it'll take for me is a slight costume change.
So that's what I was going to ask you, because I think for me, like one of the things that I've experienced for myself is that like if I'm just doing whatever as Phil, right? I can sometimes feel kind of like, ah, no, I don't want to say that. That's kind of silly or whatever. But as soon as I've put on a mask in front of myself and concealed myself, it's not Phil anymore. It's some dude in a mask. Do you find that that's something that like people in your community sort of encourage people to do? It's like, hey, lean into a prop of some sort to change. So it's not you anymore. It's this other individual. And how have you seen that before? Like other people
Of
doing
course I've
that?
seen that, bro. You've seen it. Every single milsim somebody goes to, it's a prop, dude. The
Yeah, I
moment you put on the
suppose. Yeah.
camouflage, like that's all it takes is putting on the blouse, maybe some boots, and suddenly you're not Phil Enghard anymore. You're Corporal Enghard out there getting ready to blast fools out on your PMC mission
Come on, I'd be
because
an
now
officer. I'd be like
you're.
a captain. Come on.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, of course.
Well, don't of course me, bro. I went to trade school.
But yeah, I take your point. Yeah, you're right. Though.
Okay,
You know, that's
so
a really good point, Matt. I
Lieutenant
never really thought about it that way. Yeah.
Enghard. Yeah, dude, the costume is everything. Like it, they don't say it's a costume, right? They say it's a uniform. They say it's how we
Hmm.
tell each other apart, but really it's also how we get into character. The same thing works with real world soldiers, and this is really important to note, right? Is that the whole thing is built up in every piece of propaganda, film, whatever you see. Somebody in a uniform does something super sick, and you're like, oh, cool. I want to wear and look just like that. And by putting that on, you assume that for just a moment. Like, you don't just you're not just a kid out playing a game anymore. The moment you're like, I am tan team. This is my identity. This is who we are. Other tan guys are with me. Green guys suck. Like that's all it really takes. And then it's just going from there, right? If you
Hmm.
got dudes with nods on their helmets, you do encourage them. You're like, hey, you guys are going to do the recon stuff at night, right? Like you guys are set up for that. And like game organizers do it on a much smaller level too. When I did Homefront at CZ Paintball, the 10 that were not multicam, like DCU, Chocolate Chip, all that, were put into one squad, and we were called the Special Operations Squad. And the kids who couldn't afford multicam but had dad's old scout uniform, like, cool, dude, we're the special forces, let's go. And so, like, absolutely, it's like they took something that could have been like an issue, right? Like different camouflages, and he made it into a game element that made everybody feel good about it. Uh, and I feel like you can easily do that with the uniforms, with the factions, with the squads and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
yeah, you do want people to roll in, like lean into their role, but it's usually with their gun. If they're a sniper or a DMR, they'll usually start like you can see when somebody in a milsim has put on their DMR or sniper persona because they'll suddenly stop talking, they'll stand real still, and they'll look around like this all the time, and you can tell that they've got Gilly on the brain, uh, and
Yeah.
it could be the gun, dude. Like if the guns need to look the piece in this situation, like normally when I skirmish, it's about the game, uh, pistols, HPA taps, all that cool stuff. This I wouldn't want to take my tapped pistol. I want to be immersed in the world so my gun is a prop. I'm going to be wrapping up all my silly goofball stuff, my anime girls and all that on there. I'm going to cover it up with camouflage or probably Koban because I don't want camouflage. I would necessarily be able to. I imagine the first place people would loot at the end of the world is the sporting goods store, right? I imagine there wouldn't be all that much fresh camouflage lying around for me. I'm actually
Hmm.
trying to do everything with stuff I already have in my garage to sort of deepen that feel for me. Stuff I have at home. I haven't bought anything for this, just things I have lying around. I don't plan to buy anything for it. Uh,
Yep.
you asked about my kit earlier. It's my normal belt rig. Just note.
Yeah.
That's all I wear for everything forever. It has all the mags I need and grenades, and it holds a radio, and I don't need anything else. Everything else is nonsense.
And so that's the same kit that you're bringing here. Like it's still going to be HPA tap built kit, like exact same, and then all of your costume pieces sort of layered on top of that. Is that the play?
That's exactly it. Like I did the same thing again with Galactic Civil Wars. I layered the gun belt, my usual like airsoft gun belt, over my other stuff, and I actually did layers of Velcro holding up like my skirt and stuff. And I plan to do the same thing here. If I'm add anything extra, it'll all be layered onto the belt or hooked to the suspenders. The plate is actually hooked to my suspenders now that I hang the cape on,
Mm-hmm.
and it all goes together. And that's how I figured that part out. I'm so
So what
sorry,
are
I
you
lost track.
most No, no, that's all good. So what are you most looking forward to about this event in particular? Like there's a lot of different cool stuff that you've already mentioned, but what's the one that's really sort of appealing to you?
I like the idea of hanging out with the ACP guys a lot. Because normally I see them between rounds and stuff, but we don't just like hang out and do like the team thing. Sometimes we'll like hang out and like do one round together, but that's it. So I'm looking forward to that. I like the persistence. I love the idea of a persistent world that we'll be able to visit again in the future, where every year I'll go back and I'll see the same core group of players, and then we'll have the same thing going, building on what we do this time. I love the idea that what we do is going to affect future gameplay. I think that's so freaking cool. Uh, I want to see everybody's mark on Airsoft, and then this is putting your mark on this particular game, and we're going to get to see it grow and build and go. And obviously, it's a lot closer than like Galactic Civil War, so I'll be able to
Yeah.
do it every time they do it. It's a 2.5 hour drive for me. It's nothing. Uh, it's at an almond mill just a bit north. Super cool. It's something I've thought about a lot. As in my work, I see a lot of almond holding facilities, and I've always thought it'd be really cool for an airsoft thing. And it's nice to see that somebody else had a very similar thought. Uh, so I'm looking forward to all of that. It's that you. Oh, it's going to be a unique place, right? Like it's an industrial facility that we're going out to do this whole thing. It's not an airsoft field. It's not a mount site. It's not a freaking abandoned neighborhood. It is going to be tight. It's going to
Hmm.
be close. There's going to be dark places. There's going to be bright places. There's going to be catwalks and ditches and pits and dirt and machinery and all this stuff around there. And it's going to be so freaking cool because I know that would be a good environment for CQB, for fighting, for all that stuff. Because I think about it all day. Airsoft is like on my brain 24/7. Uh, and like when I go to work, I think about it. And I look at these places and I'm like, this would be super cool to do airsoft in. So that's appealing to me. There's a million things. I'm sorry, you asked for one. I have dozens.
And that's good. I mean, but I think too, like that's an important aspect of it. Like, and it's important in the respect that, you know, when we went to Iron Horse, for example, like there's a lot of stuff that we could have gotten excited about for Iron Horse. Like you think about like any AMS game, like all the Fraggles, all the missions, all the this, that, the other thing, all of which to be excited about, not all of which we got to do, right? So if there's a lot of stuff that you were excited for, chances are you're going to bump into something, at least one or two of them that it's like, okay, cool, I was excited about that and I got to make the experience, right? Hopefully you won't be at this event sitting in a tunnel for 2.5 hours, but that's another, it's almost what where I think we're just 1 year clear at time of recording
Uh,
of
yeah,
that
uh,
that particular escapade.
Lexi mentioned that this morning. He was like, "It's been 1 year and I miss you guys," and I'm like, "I don't miss that tunnel, bro." Uh,
Yeah.
that's not true. I have great memories of that, right? Like I still bring up Matt Kruger running up with a fan and just blowing it on my face, and he's like, "I don't even have a gun, dude. You good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, thank you." Uh, and like the memories from that tunnel, like I do, I flash back to them all the time. I'm like, that was great. Let's hang out
Hmm.
somewhere else next time.
Yeah, for
It's
real.
almost like become a huge joke right now in the Discord, and on here is just that freaking tunnel, bro.
Yeah. So this event, I think about the Star Wars LARP in particular. Like, fighting is not really the thing, right? At the Star Wars LARP, not really.
Right.
And there's a lot of story around, like, like the Jedi and like the NPCs and all this kind of stuff. As far as you're aware, like, is that going to be the same vibe here? Because in looking through the rule set for this event, there is a fair amount of detail on the actual airsoft replica, like rules, like around sniper rifles, DMRs, like LMGs, all this kind of stuff. And there are military factions. So do you expect there's going to be a lot more fighting at this event compared to like the Star Wars LARP?
I don't think I'll be involved in any more fighting specifically myself. I think that yeah, like the PMCs are going to be clashing with Big Army because that's like their whole thing. It's called UGF. I keep calling it Big Army, but it's UGF. It's the I want to say the tan team or the green team. I honestly do not know. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to team up with them, so I did not pay attention. Uh, Point is, nobody's allowed to team up with these guys. They're the enemy for everyone. The PMCs are all going to be trying to do their own job, and I have to decide what I want to get out of it, right? Like what I'm going to go about and do. I have full agency to go do my thing as a treasure hunter to try to find these artifacts, trade my doubloons. The currency's called doubloons. Uh, Buy BBs, sell stuff, go around. Nobody's allowed this first time to like run a business necessarily, but the seeds of it are being planted for future events, uh, stuff like that. Uh, so that's really cool to me.
Yeah, for sure. And because and that's a big difference from the Star Wars LARP. Like, I know that there's the in-game economy in terms of like stores and stuff is a big deal too.
Yeah, no,
Um
that there won't be as many like stores or anything, right? So I'm
mhm.
not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing for 40 hours, uh, besides just smoking and joking, doing the usual stuff. Uh, but I
You
expect I'll
mentioned
eventually get bored
BBs.
and wander off and shoot some folk.
Yeah, so you mentioned BBs. Like, so you have to buy BBs in game, or you have to find BBs in game. Is it like in a Milsim West type situation?
Yeah, you're issued. It's 200 BBs per person starting the game, and they're all 30s. Deal with it.
Okay.
Uh, Nobody is allowed to bring their own BBs. So yeah, you're issued the ammo at the beginning of the game, and then you can buy more. It's two doubloons for 200 BBs. I don't, and it's got on the page how much each of the artifacts is worth, and it's the doubloons are like it's like 100 credits would have been a Galactic Civil War, maybe 50 credits. It's not that, it's not a whole lot, but it's not nothing. It makes sense for the amount they're spending and stuff. Uh, so yeah, that's it for the BBs, dude. Like I'm gonna be setting my gun up for 30s and dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. And then trying to find as many BBs as you can, ostensibly, right? I mean, if you want to be shooting them, right?
Well, I mean, in theory, if I have all the ammo, then other people would find it harder to shoot at me too. So yeah, absolutely.
That's a that's a good point. And they're going to be hiding ammo. Like, I was reading briefly, like there's going to be like you mentioned the artifacts as like collectibles or like items that you can find, but there's a lot of other stuff too. Like, there's like lock boxes, I believe, and like stashes with like all kinds of stuff like that. Like, they're really going full into this Horde LARP aspect. Like, it's not a one trick pony around, oh, you've got these artifacts and deal with it. Like, it's a whole sort of persistent world that they're trying to build, right?
Yeah, like to me, that's why it's more like I guess the Borderlands thing to me is like, yeah, I'm gonna look everywhere. I'm looking for treasure chests. I'm gonna run around, try not to get blasted by all these dudes having war with each other, and find loot, dude. I believe that there's like they mentioned that there's gonna be a gun on the field, like to find
Oh,
and stuff
wow.
like that. And I'm like, dude, I'm down, absolutely. They did that at Galactic Civil War. It's an absolute blast having people go look for stuff around, and I am down for like the whole scavenger hunt once I figure out where it is and how it starts. Right.
Mm-hmm. And they're
I don't,
using Ares Alpha, I believe, for this event as well. Are you set
uh,
up to follow that?
they are. I've got it from previous events. Uh, I can't imagine it'll affect me that much because I'm not running with the PMCs or UGF. So, uh, I mean, it's a cool thing. I've used it before. It's a neat app. but I don't
You could
think I'll
get
be
like a
using it
you could
over
get like a
much.
Pip Boy type situation and put your phone in there and have your Ares Alpha right on your wrist.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go ahead. The bottom of my plate is actually has an open space. I think I'm going to do that. That's a great idea.
You're welcome. You can have that one
Thank
for
you.
free. So I'm excited that you're excited about this event. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about the event once it actually happens, and you can talk about sort of everything that happened. But before we go and wrap up this episode today, a bit of a shorter one, but that's okay. Let's talk about Flamingo Custom Works.
Cool, dude. Yeah, I've tried all their products now, except for the 8 round, the little cap one.
Yeah,
I went ahead and said that it's a little,
too
it's too,
dorky for you.
it's not enough. No, it's just not loud enough, man. Throwing the flamingo against the wall is louder than the caps going off.
Agree. Yeah. Yes.
Uh, so I've got the 209s. I've used the or not the shower shells, the launchables and the throwables. Right. I've got the chalk rounds for the launchables. I bought their tube. I bought their Max 40 or somebody else's Max 40, but they sell it with it all. So I bought all that stuff together, and I went through 10 10 primer launchables and 10 chalks. The chalks were an absolute blast. Uh, each one performed exactly as advertised. I filled it with the holly chalk.
Hmm.
Bunch of different colors, pink, yellow. It's safe for the environment. It'll wash out of your gear super easy, and they'll go about 100 feet and still blast into a small cloud of chalk. Uh, I really enjoy them doing like,
It's food safe. So if you ingest it, it's not going to make you sick, which is a big one for me as well.
yeah, no, because especially like you pop that near somebody and they get a lung full, I want them to be okay.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely right, because like if people are launching things at you, that's different than if they're throwing smoke where you could usually see it and get away from it. But like if I'm launching chalk at you, I want to make sure that it's not going to hurt you in any real way.
Hmm.
So yeah, I use the food safe stuff. Absolutely, 100%. Go us. And that's really cool because yeah, you can launch it 150 feet and it'll still crack open. Poof. If you're really lucky and the wind's with you, you could maybe get a little longer, but not much. Those things don't launch all that far off green gas. And I've been running green gas in the heat because I feel like they've got just enough punch that if I shot somebody point blank, I wouldn't hurt, feel bad. But anything more would be a bit much. And I have been shot with them point blank myself, both the 209s and the chalk. And I think the chalks are amazing. The 209s are cool, except I did not get them to go off about 2/3 of the time. Uh, as of now, I've got 3 of the bases left, and I've fired each of them about 4 or 5 times. And I told the guys at Flamingo Customs about it, and they're sending me the new squishy heads to try out. Uh,
Yeah.
besides that, it was really cool because I honestly got 30 shots out of those 10 209 grenades before I got all of them to detonate. And a lot of times that was strike on a person. And while that wasn't necessarily what I was going for, it's always super cool when you hit somebody, goes ping, and they're like, ah.
Yeah,
Also, a
legit.
lot of the time, people have a really positive reaction to you firing it at them. Believe it or not, like you'll shoot it at them, and they'll be like, "What the? That was cool!" And you'll be like, "Yeah, dude, we all feel great about this. Cool." So even when they don't go off, those are super great. I also use their throwables, the indoors and the outdoors. They sent me 4 of them for Get Smoked, and then I have since bought 6 more. Uh,
Hmm.
because they're good, dude. They're so freaking good. Once you have one broken in, and they even mention it. You and I are mentioning it right now, so nobody has any excuses. Break them
Yeah,
in with a
seriously.
dozen throws first, right? And then they fire off like clockwork. I carry 2 on me all the time now. Even like I have guests with me, they each get one. My kids each have their own grenades, bro. They're cheap, they're efficient, they're effective. Super great for clearing out buildings that you're like sure somebody is in. You can just whip it right around a corner and it's just pop. I did that yesterday. I went and played at APA, and I threw those grenades over and over and over. And I had 2 I took with me yesterday, and I went through 30 primers. I had 1 failure to fire because I threw it in the middle of a grassy area. Every
That's
other time it was great. I
yeah.
blew up a dude in a trailer. I blew up dudes in Kill House. I blew up dudes in Osama. It was great. Flamingo Customs, I can't say enough good things. Even when they had that run of bad threads that you talked about a few weeks ago, uh, I told them about it, and they're like, "Yes, we see the issue. Here are new grenades. We're sending you more." They've been total bros about it. Every time I had like a question or anything, they've been super great, and their products are innovative, useful, affordable, and like they're better. They're making airsoft better. I want things to make airsoft better. And these are certainly one of them, dude. If you want an impact grenade and you have like, and you're not playing straight up woods ball, get a flamingo. Get 4 flamingos. Get 6
Yeah.
flamingos. They fit in my
I
Ido
mean,
gear pouches. They fit in any grenade pouch you've got.
legit. And like I think one of the things we talked about this on the show before is this idea like back when we were using like two tornado grenades, right? The Airsoft Innovation ones, rest in peace. Um, you had one because
Yeah,
they were expensive, which meant that you didn't really want to throw it because you would need it some other time. Whereas with the Flamingo ones, you can have multiples. It's much more affordable to have multiples, which means that you're much more likely to throw them because there's not a scarcity mindset, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing, and you sort of talked about this, but I think it's worth mentioning sort of in more detail. Like they're not only are they making airsoft better, but they're also making their products better consistently. As a result of a lot of the testing that we have done and the feedback of me like talking to Sed and Tony and Mac at Flamingo and telling them, hey, this is what we're hearing from other people that are recommendations to make your product better. They're then taking that and making recommendations. So for instance, one of the things that a real steel gun owner said is that their firing pin is pointy. And to be a more effective firing pin, it should be a little bit more rounded, a little bit more concave, so that it moves more material, which makes it less likely to light strike. And they're
right.
like, oh, yeah, absolutely, we're going to do that. Same thing with the bases. They were saying it would be a more effective, more reliable setup of the primer if the primer was elevated by like a smidge, like 0.5 millimeter. And they went back to the drawing board and they designed a new base now that elevates the primer just a little bit, but just enough that the contact is even more forceful with the firing pin, even the old ones that are pointed, and it's much more likely to just go off. Because the
Oh,
biggest issue that I've had with them is light striking. And part of that was the shitty primers that we were using, but that's since been resolved and we're using good ones now. But even still, light striking is an issue, and it's an issue as well with the 209 launchables, which now with the squishy heads, once you get them, you will notice a huge difference, right? But they're also talking about their documentation. I was talking to Sed and Tony about this a little while ago. They're like, do you think it would be helpful to have some basic documentation with our products? And I was like, it would be, because for someone who doesn't know anything about launchables, I have no idea what I'm getting into. So you might not realize that, yes, the projectile is rifled and yes, it's going to spin, but at some point, inertia will cause it to start falling and tumbling in flight. And once that happens, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a strike anymore, because you might hit the dude with the back end, which has no primer on it, right? But it's important to understand that if you don't know that, you're only going to notice it when you start using it. If it's in a manual somewhere, it increases the chances of people being like, okay, yeah, I get it, right? So they care about their products big time. And I just wanted to add that because I think all of your praise for them, I 100% sort of back. And it's just been a phenomenal experience working with them and getting to use their products.
oh yeah, dude. I mean, you say Sed and Tony, but it's been Mark specifically that has helped me out, and I want to call him out
Yeah.
because I hear you talk about the other dudes all the time, but Mark, I see you and I appreciate you. Uh, Tolan, you don't see me, and that's a running joke now. Hilarious. Uh,
Mm.
I actually really enjoyed that last week when you're like, Tolan doesn't listen to us. He doesn't even know that we're talking about him.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
true. He does not. He has no clue.
uh,
Maybe one day he'll have the presence of mind to listen to the episodes, and then he'll be like, "Man, these guys talk about me a lot. Holy crap!"
but anyway, yes, back to
um,
Mark. Mark was great. Tony said they talked to us. They're in the Discord. They're totally chill bros.
mhm.
They approve their products. They replace the bad products. They stand behind their stuff, and they are improving. Right, like every grenade
Yeah,
now comes with the long spoon and the short spoon, because the long spoon looks cool and it takes great pictures, but the short spoon doesn't snap in half when you fling it at a wall.
yeah, legit though.
Uh,
Yeah,
so you see that in all of their products, like every time I've gotten a grenade from them, and it's been like a few weeks apart, and that's enough time for innovation. Each batch has been different for me, but
yeah,
all pretty great.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you shouting them out, and I'm sure they will too. I mean, we'll have links to both the Zone 37 LARP, as well as some links to the Flamingo products in the description of this video. If you're listening to this and you're interested, Matt, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's always a treat to get to talk to you.
Well, dude, like you always make me feel so at home. You know, we talk on the Discord all the time, but it's nice to get a little face to face time and let other people hear my voice and what I think about airsoft, and they can't say anything to me, and I just get to go on and on about how great it is. Uh, and
Yeah.
I love being able to talk, just sit down with somebody and talk about airsoft, because every other time I'm talking to somebody about airsoft, it's some jackwagon at the field or some new kid, and yeah, we're talking about stuff, but I know you're on the same level as me, so it's a different thing, right? And it's weird to
Yeah.
talk about like that. And I hate to say it like that, but dude, it's different, right? Like the people who are really into it, when you talk to them, it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
listen, thanks so much for being on. Guys, thank you so much for listening. That's all we've got for you this week, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.